Hey, Coach, I'm so excited you found us. Make sure you subscribe down below and hit up above. We put new content out just about every day. Also, make sure you go over and check out teachhoops.com for coaches who want to get better. If you want to put up balls like this, if you want to win, you want to learn the game, you want the roadmap to become a better basketball coach, teachhoops.com is the answer for you. It's a little bit of everything. It's mentoring, it's resources. Go over and check it out and have a great day.
All right, welcome to Coaching Youth Hoops.
Hello, Coach.
How are you?
Living the dream out here in California. It's sunny California today. Fall day.
I'm gonna date when we're doing this, but I was out most of the weekend raking and mowing because the leaves are starting to fall. Yesterday was windy, so it was like, but I love the smell.
I love the smell of fall.
Apple cider, apple. If you've never had an apple cider like donut, oh my god, they're so good. Anyway, yes, that smell, and it's great, and you're not hot, and you're out doing lawn work. And
I got to mow the lawn today.
But I unplugged my hoses. You probably don't do that in California, huh?
No.
Yeah. Plug the hoses, put them in the garage and stuff.
Yeah, they don't freeze, right?
Yeah, I do have non-freezing. I do have non-freezing spigots that don't freeze.
You don't have to worry about your pipes freezing.
I don't have to turn the water off. That's good. My goal, if all this at some point gets big enough, is I want a heated driveway. That's my goal.
I've heard you say that several times now.
I want a heated driveway so badly. But anyway, all right. So before we jump in, let's talk about your practice plans. Go ahead, talk about your what you've been working on, Coach, because I know how busy you've been.
Creating practice plans for a lot of youth coaches out there. Go to basketballpracticeplans.com. You can, if you starting from a blank slate, I got it all worked out for you. Practice plan's already done. Even if you have something, but you want supplements, right? Perfect opportunity too. You don't have to do everything. And then, I even offer, maybe you have a unique situation. I had a coach from Belgium. They can't do screening, no pressing, no traps, right? And so then he asked if I could create a custom plan. I do custom plans as well for unique situations like that. So
save
you a burden of time, a lot, if you don't have the time, don't worry about it. Stop searching Google. As we were talking about, off the air too, it's like we don't suffer from a lack of information or a lack of drills. That's not the issue. The drill is putting it all together in a cohesive, step-by-step plan so the kids progress at the age appropriate level. And that's really
that's the answer.
In a nutshell, that's what we do.
That's 100% the answer. And then also go over and check out coachingyouthhoops.com, the membership site that's going to eventually, we were just, again, off air talking about how we're going to merge all these together. But basically all the stuff that you need behind the scenes, everything you kind of need to be a youth coach, go over and check that out. Hopefully by the time this goes up, it will be live, but we'll see. I don't know.
As you tell me, you're starting the season, you're not going to get that live.
Yeah, it's going to be live before the season starts. Trust me. I got 30 days. It's going to be live.
You got 30 days. That's true.
It will be before that. All right.
And then check out our Facebook group. Don't forget about that, right? Coaching YouTube's Facebook group. Join that. You'll be with a group of other coaches just like you who maybe are struggling, have questions, maybe not knowing what to do. Maybe you're not confident. Lead into what we're going to talk about today. Not only confidence in your coaching ability, but how do you instill confidence in players?
Right. So which one do you, let's do the coaching one first, because it kind of leads into, I think confidence comes from knowledge and practice and knowing what you're doing.
Yes.
Oh, the two of us have started this because we want to build your confidence as coaches. As you do this long, I feel pretty confident walking in on Monday to teach my stats class because I've done it really long and I know the material and I feel confident about it. And I think it's similar for the players too. As you are able to teach them more, they'll become more confident. Don't you think? I just know in life, that's how I feel about lots of things.
Well, I think where a lot of coaches struggle though, too, if you think about this, the youth coaches, right? Maybe they were a player, but it's never coached. That's different, as you know, right? Being a player and then trying to coach the game or teach the game, or maybe they weren't a player at all, right?
Right.
And so
Yeah.
now they have to teach it to someone, because one, you know, as I talk to youth coaches, like, they didn't have anybody else, so I wanted to do it. I want to spend more time with my kids, so I'll do it, but I never coached before. So they're not going to be confident when, you know, their player on the team's dad played at a high level, but didn't raise his hand to coach, but, you know, he's
Right.
going to be a critic of him first, right? Like,
Right.
I probably shouldn't do that or do this. And you're always, I mean, I can think back for the first day I played, but I can think back on my first year of practice. I had no idea what I was doing from a like structure. I definitely wasn't confident, because it was like, I don't know what I don't know. And it's just the first time I was doing it, teaching the game to third graders at the time. But like you said, how did I get better? I studied the game, and I haven't
Right.
stopped since.
Right. And I think I use the analogy when I coach my son's little league or baseball. So that's a lot less knowledge. I had conflicts in both of them, even when he was a little guy and I was coaching. It's so much different coaching that 7-year-old versus the 17-year-old. And I know that, you know, talk about overconfident, like going, I was a little overconfident walking in that first elementary gym for his first practice. And it's like, whoa, okay. I know that kid, but like how am I going to teach all of them, and what skills do they need to know? And that's like you said, I had to go back to, even though I'd been coaching for 30 years, I had to go back to the drawing board. It's like, okay, how do I break this? Because the teacher in me goes, this ain't working. Like, how can I be a better teacher? How can I do a better job of communicating this to these 8-year-olds? And then when it was baseball, it was two things. It was 8-year-olds and lack of knowledge. Like I didn't have the things I needed. So I think that's where you and I both have seen this world of, like, I don't want to say it's confusion, but it's almost like you're juggling knives in some respects. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, again, because there's just so much out there. We were just talking about the coach that all he does is slobs and blobs, right?
Right.
And it's like, holy cow, like, which one do I choose? Which one is going to work? How do I, like, right?
I always use the, I know we don't want to remember this, but I always use the April and May of 2020, right when COVID had hit, all these Zoom calls, all this information. There was a point when I walked into the kitchen, which is, 15 feet from my office.
Yeah.
And I go to my wife, I go, I can't do this. I can't do. She goes, what do you mean? I said, I can't do basketball. This is too much, because there was so much information and it was all really good, but it was overload. Like
Overload.
I needed someone to grab my hand. And then, so what eventually I did was I'm only going to do things that have to do with offense and us running our offense. And then I dove into that for like 3 weeks. And then because it was, like you said, it was too much information. It was just too much. It was like, I thought my head was going to explode. It's like, I always refer to myself, I get like the dog in Up, like with squirrel,
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh
it's
my
like,
God.
you can't do that to me. I gotta be laser focused. And that's, I think that's where experienced coaches like you and I have gotten to the point where, okay, here's the roadmap. Here's the kind of things that you would need. And that's where, circling back to what we were talking about before, that's where your practice plans and coaching youth hoops kind of does that. It's like, it's
listening to this podcast in the Facebook group. And I know it sounds like, well, just get on those things and we'll help you through it. Right.
Again, and the Facebook group is awesome, because I'm going to tell you why it's awesome right now, because it's relatively small. It's only a couple thousand people. My other one, which has 100,000 people, 102,000, that's like filling, wherever Clemson plays, the stadium plus so there's going to be lots of different discussions about, this is really what I love about it right now. The Facebook group is it's really pointed, and people are getting their questions answered, and it's fast, and it's like, I don't know, what do I do with this? Blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Yeah. So go check that Facebook group out. I think that's a hidden gem for all you youth
and
coaches.
Then, and check out basketballcoachesclinic.com as well, right? And we're doing monthly clinics on different subjects. But
we have so many cool ideas. We have so many. We have so many cool ideas too coming up. Like
Remind me,
that help.
you just
Yeah.
remind me about the Facebook group. I got an idea for the big Facebook group too.
Okay.
You heard
Okay.
it here.
Okay.
But let's recap. So how do coaches become confident? Because we got to move on to the players. And I think this is really key.
Yeah.
So how do coaches become more confident? Read, soak up as much information as you can. And you know what? You're doing the right thing, period. That dad who played before, he's not the one coaching. You are. Just believe in what you're doing, and we're going to talk about this.
Kids
As long as you're
first. Kids
instilling,
first.
yeah, kids first. I was going to say, make them feel confident, right? And you just have to know a little bit more than they do, right? So
Okay, before we talk to kids, you'll love this. We have a not a student teacher. He graduated, but he's like long-term subbing, and he looked overwhelmed about 2 weeks ago. And I'm the veteran teacher in the building,
right.
and I just go up to him. I go, Jeremy, you'll be fine. You know more than them.
Yeah.
And just when you
Right.
not sure, pretend like you know more than them.
Yeah.
Because you know more than them. You're older than them. You know more. So fake it until you make it, baby. Fake it. It's like he just got a big laugh, started chuckling. I go, but just you do know more. He's teaching freshmen. So I go, they're 14 years old. You know more than them. Like,
Yeah.
you're fine. Just you'll be.
Well, and then if that parent questions you, right, this is your response. Sounds like you're very knowledgeable in that area. We practice on, say your days. Games are on this day, as you know. Would love for you to come and teach that, right? And take you up on that invitation, and that way you get them involved as well. If that's, and most likely they're not going to do that, but
right.
Anyway. All
Let's
right,
talk about the players.
Players. How do you coach confidence in players? Of course, praise them. I mean, I think that's the obvious one.
Well,
right?
and I think the player first thing, like this is player centered. This isn't parent centered. This isn't coach centered. This isn't that tournament centered. You can build confidence in anything if it's player centered. Everything you should do will be about them, like what's best for them. Because I don't know your third grade team. They might be as good as a sixth grade team in our area, or they might be as good as a kindergarten team I don't know. So you need, as the coach, the way you build confidence is meet them where they are. Meet them at their skill set that they are.
But what does that mean? Like, what would I do if I'm a new coach, or even if I'm an older coach? Like, what does that mean specifically?
So where is their skill set on, first of all, where is their skill set? You can just see it physically. Like, are they coordinated? Are they physical? Like, where are they in this? Because your son or daughter is probably on the team. So you probably have a spectrum of them, but now you're throwing other children into that. Where are you in that spectrum? And then what I always say is you can do the basics to see where you are. Do the ball handling, do the passing, do the hand-eye coordination things, do the layup line, whatever. You got to get a base to see where you are. And if no one can dribble with their weak hand, then your base is different than if kids are, doing a crossover move and attacking to the, that's where I think you got to try to figure the base out.
Yeah.
Well,
then I think you give them easy tasks to complete once you know their base that that they will achieve, right?
Right.
And if you do that, then they're like, oh, okay, we as a player, I achieved something, right? I'm going to try a little bit harder. I'm going to try it again, right? And just don't give them a task that they're absolutely going to fail at, right? Don't run the Princeton offense or teach them a play.
Don't run the
in
Princeton
fourth grade.
Don't run the Princeton offense in middle school. Sorry, John. But you just shouldn't. What I think, and I'm gonna refer back to my teaching too. I tend to make my first test on the spectrum of hardness easier.
Yeah.
And the reason is, first of all, they're taking statistics. They're trying to figure out what it is. It's not your typical math class. And I want to build, I can tell you, I'm a math teacher. I'm a statistician. I can curve whatever. I can get whatever grade. I want them to have some, and they have confidence by having a little success. Now, are things going to get harder? Yes. that's fine. But once I boost them a little
That's
bit,
right. Yeah.
and it's like I'm not giving grades away, but it's like, okay, you got this. Like, well,
Yeah.
and to be honest with you, I don't ask them the the high level college question. I ask them the junior high school question, and they're senior. It's like I just enough that I know that they know, but I can see the confidence. Oh, this is going to be okay. Like I'm not running my counselor to drop. It's the same thing in practice. It's like give them a little confidence once you figure out where that base is, so they can have some success. I think.
Yeah, and the other thing that I found successful too is, so day practice number one, hey Steve, you did a great job with X. Okay, and here, and I get a little bit more specific from that. So I'll really point out, hey, I really like the way you passed and you had your fingers out, right, pointing to the person you were passing at, right, to again reinforce something that I want to teach. And I point out somebody who did that thing. Okay, so then the next practice, Steve would say, I would say to Steve, hey, you won, you were the player of practice last time. Who did you recognize? Who worked hard? And if you have, again, we have pillars in high school, but and I'm going to get into that next. That's the next way to do it. Another way to do it. But I'll say, Steve, point somebody out who you thought did a really good job today. And Steve will says, I think Johnny did a great job. And that, sometimes they stop and I'm like, no, what did Johnny do really well? And then they'll explain. So it's the peer-to-peer recognition of, your peers recognizing that you're working hard. That's going to lift all boats, right? People will try a little bit harder.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have much to add to that, Coach.
Well, and then maybe this final thing you can do too is, we do this in high school. You can definitely bring this to grade school because I have done it at my youth camps. We have this thing we call the red dot pride, and it's there's a red stand there. It stands for rebound, efficient scoring, and defense. And that's all our basketball related stuff. So those are the three things that we focus on. And then the dot is driven, open, together. That's the culture stuff we focus on together. It's called the red dot. So what we do at the end of every practice, just the same example I gave before, but we actually give out red dots, little stickers, a red dot. And then there's a chart and with your name on it, and you put your red dot next to your name. And at the end, I'll do it weekly when we start practice weekly. They will get something. It might be a large size Gatorade or whatever whatever it is. But what that does again is if they see who the leaderboard is, right? People will try harder. Your peer, and again, it goes back to your peer. Your peer is recognizing and giving you a red dot. It's not me as the coach. Like Steve would give it to Johnny, and Johnny would and Steve would hand Johnny the red dot, right? So, and they put that on their board. And at first I thought it was a little, for my older girls, I thought that was gonna be a little corny, but they actually are getting into it. The younger girls absolutely love it. I mean, in little things too, we do
that with competition at ours, and then they have their names, and then they just put a hash, and then we keep running totals for weeks and totals, and it's in order to have a habit, you have to track it. If you want to change it, you got to track it. So I love that. All right, anything else with this, Coach?
No, Coach, hey, I always say, my job is not to coach basketball. My job is to coach confidence. And I really, truly believe that. I think, basketball's tough, and it's a lot of skills going on that you have to master at one time. So by breaking those skills down, giving the kids something they can achieve, you start building your house. Right? You set that foundation and you build upon that with a little bit of confidence each time. And at the end of the year, those kids should want to be running back because they're feeling like, man, they can do anything. Right. So that's your job. You're not coaching basketball, coach confidence, boost their spirit, get them to come back and play again.
I love that. All right. Till next week, Coach.
Till next week.
Bye.
Yeah.
Hey, Coach. So glad you enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoyed it a lot. Actually, if you did, subscribe and like, and then go over and check out teachhoops.com for coaches who want to get better.